The goal is winning. Kelce
it.
is saying that it's just about winning. It's not about stats. Key, do you believe him?
100%. 100%. And you're so used to seeing him perform at a certain level statistically. So the first thing we start thinking his numbers is down. He must be dissatisfied, not happy in the situation. He doesn't care about the statistics, Joy. I think when you look at a guy like this, he's done everything. He's done everything. What else is there left to do other than win another damn Super Bowl, right? I mean, like, his legacy is already cemented. He's good to go. If he gets another 1,000-yard season, so be it. But if he gets the third Super Bowl in a row, he's already got 3. So if you add the 1, 2, and the 3, nobody's ever done that. And you add that to his resume, if he had 30 catches on the season for 400 yards and 2 touchdowns, and they win the Super Bowl, and it's 3 in a row, guess what we're going to talk about? Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, Travis Kelce, the only to ever do this. We're not going to say, well, he only had this amount of catches and this amount of yards. So it's something to be made of because we've watched him be great for so long, and now the numbers are starting to dwindle away early in the season, but they'll pick back up.
Yeah, through 3 weeks of season, he has 12 targets, 8 receptions for 69 yards, no touchdowns. Do you believe him, Paul?
Yeah, I believe him. I just remember as I got up in age as a player and, you know, accomplishing so many things, you know, Kelce has been to the Pro Bowl. He's won Super Bowls. It's like, you know, it's fun doing those things and getting the stats and reading your articles. But at this stage, it's like, I just want to continue to win to build on that winning legacy. You know, I look up, I'm 34 years old. If I scored 10 points but we won, I'm good with it. Whereas a young player, you want to look at the stat sheet. You like Key, he didn't care if he won or lost. He just wanted to get his 100 yards and a touchdown. You know what I'm saying? But like me, I only cared about winning, you know?
How did I get drawn back into?
He just got us straight into the 3 minutes of the show.
Damn! You know, I used to watch Key on interviews. You know what I'm saying? They just won the game. They just won the game. But in his interview, he all mad. He all mad because he only got 3 targets. Man, I'm like, damn, they won the game.
Don't, hey, Paul, do me a favor. They already think I'm crazy as it is out here in America. Don't do this to me, man. But one thing he is right about, though, when you are younger, you do follow everything that's going on.
Well, also when you're younger, your statistics matter because you're building your resume to get paid.
You're getting paid. You want to get your money.
Right.
And he's right about that. One of the first things you do is not necessarily at the end of the game. You might wait to get to home to watch, you know, what's ever on TV and see who did what, boom, bam, bam. Or the next day, you looking at everybody who did what in the league.
Right.
But that was when you're young.
That's when
But when you're 34 years old and 35, 36, still hanging on, 9th man at the end of the bench, 12th man at the end of the bench, maybe not even dressing sometime, you don't even, it doesn't even matter.
It don't bother you, not at all.
Not at all.
I don't know how it could. And it's not because he's not a competitor or he doesn't care about contributing. It's about being there, the presence that he creates by being there. He's still somebody that other teams fear.
You have to account for him.
You have to account for him.
Yes.
It's not like teams are not paying attention to the fact that he's on the field. He contributes in a lot of ways. But to your point about all the things that he's accomplished, I mean, he's a 3-time Super Bowl champion.
Right.
He's an all-pro. He's a walk-in first ballot Hall of Famer. They're on a quest to do something that no team in the history of the league has ever accomplished before. And we all know how hard it is just to get to a Super Bowl, let alone to win a Super Bowl, let alone win 3 Super Bowls in a row. So to be focused on statistics at this point, it actually would be silly because what statistic do you want? What have you not accomplished that your goal would be?
It would be something that they were losing, though.
Now, that's the point. Yes, and the other part is that they're winning.
Yeah.
If they were losing and it seemed very obvious that he hadn't been worked into the game plan in some way or he hasn't been contributing and it feels like that's a gap in what they're able to do offensively, that's a completely different conversation.
They'll fix that yesterday, though.
Exactly.
When you have players like that you are not necessarily putting an emphasis on to get to football because everything is kind of running smoothly. You want to make sure that other people are getting involved. You also, some of the routes that Rashee Rice runs now used to be Travis Kelce. Some of the things that we saw Juju Smith-Schuster, God, I screw it up all the time, the other day on the shallow cross touchdown. That's Travis Kelce. But they want to see if everybody else can get involved, Joy. Now, these conversations really have been somewhat heightened and brought to our attention, our awareness, because the lack of targets and statistics for him. But also, let's not forget to factor in the relationship that he has with the Swifties. Okay?
Oh, I thought you meant Patrick Mahomes.
No. This is why this is a topic now. Whoa, what's wrong with Travis? Because the next situation is going to be, well, he's doing too much in the offseason. He's not prepared. That's the next thing that's going to come if he doesn't soon have a breakout game. People going to start trying to say, oh, he's distracted, all that sort of stuff.
I think they're already.
They may be. I don't know. But I can smell it.
But also,
I can smell it.
I think they will get to that, of course. But that, again, that only matters if they're losing.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, if they're winning, with all due respect, the fringe fans who have just arrived, who want to see Travis Kelce in the end zone every weekend, are not really going to get paid attention to, nor should they, because that's not how this works, particularly for this team, particularly for Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. I mean, their relationship, which is the relationship that I thought you were talking about, is one that we've seen become so important later in the season. Because last year we watched him not have a season that we're used to seeing with him. Now, he still had a really good season, but the numbers were down a little bit in that conversation.
And in the playoffs, he did what he was supposed to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's really what we're counting on. Is he going to be healthy at the end of the season? Is he going to contribute in big moments? And also at this position as well. Like, if you have the opportunity to move things around, you don't have to rely on him. That's actually a very positive thing,
absolutely,
I think, for the Chiefs. But his friend, Patrick Mahomes, is also off to a rough start statistically. He has the fewest passing yards, touchdowns, and most interceptions through the first 3 games of this season in his career. So is Mahomes' slow start a big deal or not a big deal, Keyshawn?
It's not a big deal either, okay? And when you think about it, it's only a big deal to people like you. And the reason I say people like you, because you like to play fantasy football.
Oh, listen, Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce is my responsibility. Actually, I have Patrick Mahomes.
See, the fantasy world, they care about the statistics.
Yeah.
Andy Reid and Mr. Hunt and all, they just want to get the W's.
It's true.
So at the end of the day, he falls similar in the same line as Travis Kelce. What else? I got 3 Super Bowls. I got a couple MVPs. What do you want me to do? We winning? What do you want me to do? You want to throw for 500 yards and lose? Okay, so if I give you 504 touchdowns and we lose, are we going to feel a lot better because of that?
Yeah.
I won't start worrying about Patrick Mahomes until I don't see him if I don't see him in an AFC Championship game. Then I'll start to worry. Until then, miss me. It means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. And on top of that, they are the one organization that, in Andy Reid, and he's done this in Philadelphia as well, that as soon as they figure out that they need maybe a little bit of help somewhere, they're going to go get a juju. Now, all of a sudden, they done brought Kareem Hunt back after 6 years, and he was on ice. I don't know, the Cowboys didn't look at him, but anyway, he was on ice. They went ahead and said, you know what, I like this guy. Let's bring him back. He can help us now that Pacheco's gone to make our offense go the way we want it to go and get even better.
Well, that, character indictment aside, I don't think that the slow start is a big deal either. As much as I love fantasy football, no, I do not think it is a big deal at all. The problem is I watched all this last year. Yeah. So it wasn't a few years ago that I watched it. It was last year that we talked every single day about when is Kelce going to get back to his former self? What's wrong with the Kansas City offense? They have the most drops in the league. Yeah. Are they going to be able to get back there playing like this? They have so much competition around the AFC. We don't know if they can do it again. And where did they end up? In the Super Bowl, playing the Super Bowl. So I can't forget that I just watched that. Now, obviously, that's not something that you want to rely on. They're aware that the numbers are down and they want to continue to get better. But they're a championship organization, so I don't think we're giving them any news here. So I don't think that it's something to worry about, because as long as they're healthy and they're playing their best football at the end of the season, that's what this team is.
Everybody's numbers is down in the National Football League, just like it was last year.
Right.
So in the end, I don't think it really matters.
Right, but we're going to pay hyper attention to the best player in the league, who usually looks, and he's an offensive player, and they're a team that's trying to three-peat. So that's
I'm still trying to figure out, because I watched the Buffalo game, and after the Buffalo game, they had Mr. Allen, the favorite to win the MVP after that game, and Mahomes second. And I'm like, how is he still second? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's not a big deal. But you know what we say about players like Mahomes? we say he may not be there when you need him, but he's always on time. And that was him last year, because even last year I dropped him off my fantasy. So I'm not really worried about it. I did drop him off my fantasy.
You see what I said?
Yeah, I did.
Only people out there that's worried
him.
about Patrick Mahomes is people in the damn fantasy world.
I traded him last year.
We can separate the two. We can separate the two fantasy football.
And neither did you.
I traded
But the
him.
statistics, I'm not talking about fantasy football right now.
Right.
The statistics, you can, if you had Jaden, a rookie this week, you did quite well. Like, it doesn't, that's not how this works to anyone who doesn't play fantasy football. But the statistics are down. The difference is they're not losing.
No.
So that's what matters, particularly to a team like this.
That's all that really matters, is if they're getting the wins, everything is swept under the rug. I didn't even know he was last in all these passing yards, last in pass TDs. I didn't even know that because they're 3-0. Like I said, it's just like we said with Kelce. If they're losing, we're going to be a little bit more under the microscope with them. Like, what's going on? Is something wrong with him? Is he dealing with off-the-field issues?
If they was losing, this would be a major problem.
Yeah.
Right.
But they're not.
Yeah, and to be clear, those are his career numbers, not last in the league.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
First 3 games.
for his career.
For his career, right.
Yeah. Don't want to confuse that. Moving on to the Bengals, who are 0-3. Joe Burrow said, quote, about their start, "By no means is the season over." After the loss on Monday night, Burrow and head coach Zach Taylor were seen walking into a coach's office where they had a private conversation. Ooh. Oh.
Ooh.
Scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you that Burrow can lead the Bengals to the playoffs?
I'm not confident at all. I put it at a 1. You know what?
What happened to 2.5?
Huh?
What happened to 2.5? It dropped?
It dropped since an hour ago.
the
I had it at 2. What is the meeting? You know how the spread drop? The chances, the line moved. I had them at 2.5 out of 10 on the scale. It dropped to 1. I mean, we've only seen one team in the last couple of decades come from an 0-3 hole to make the playoffs, and that was the Texans. And so I just don't see it. Just something's up with this team. It's just not the same. You know, Chase hasn't got his money. Higgins just got back. It just doesn't seem right now. Maybe they needed a full training camp. I know they didn't have all the players for training camp, but this just doesn't seem right. I'm not confident in this team's ability to get stops. I'm not confident that they can just keep playing with the football gods year in and year out, getting off to these slow starts and thinking like, oh, we did it last year. We can do it again this year. So I'm not buying it. And so at this point, I feel like, what do you eat a steak with, Key? A fork? Yeah, you can put a fork in them.
Well, I don't know another way to eat a steak.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
No, I'm trying to figure
That's what
out.
I'm saying, a fork.
Well, you need a
stick
knife,
a fork
too.
in them.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The confidence level on the Bengals, huh?
Yeah.
I probably would give it, and it's just to be contenders, to make the playoffs, I would probably give it a 5 to a 6.
Man, that's
pretty high.
You know, and the only reason is because there's 7 spots opposed to 6 in the past to make the playoffs. So you get that 7th spot.
Yeah.
I mean, you could be whatever, 8 and 9 or something and slip into the 7th spot because some other teams, they're not going to win the division. I think we all could agree to that.
Yep.
They're probably not going to come in second in the division. Probably could agree to that to some degree because I think
who they lost to. Lost to New England.
They lost to New England and Kansas City.
Kansas City.
And Washington.
But Washington, New England. Not
They have some medicine coming in Carolina, but based on the way Andy Dalton played against the Raiders, you don't really know what that is, and it's at Carolina.
Yeah.
Then they come back and they play Baltimore, which obviously Lamar is on a mission along with Derrick Henry. But I think when you look at this team at 0-3, that 2.5%, that just doesn't sit well. It just doesn't sit well to even make the playoffs and be a viable team when you get in the playoffs because you got to go on the road.
Right.
So their goal is now we just got to try to figure out how to get the 7th spot. Let's just figure out how to get the 7th spot. One game at a time.
You have a 5 or 6
Today.
Now,
you might talk to me on Monday and be like, what happened? I'm be like, they done.
Well, I think, if they start 0-4.
Yeah, they done. Diddy done.
Only one team has dug themselves out of an 0-3 start to make the playoffs.
So you're saying there's a chance?
So you're saying there's a chance?
Well, you know what? I'm confident in Burrow.
Yeah.
I'm confident in Burrow. I'm confident in his ability to play the game of football at a high level. I'm confident in the pieces that he has around him offensively. There's not a lot of room for error, which is what makes me nervous, because what they've done with this slow start is not only do they have to play considerably better and consistently, they have to count on other teams to fall apart as well. And while someone will give you that gift, is someone else going to be in position to take advantage of that? Because you're right, there's 7 spots. So you're looking at, okay, let's say the Steelers win the division, the Texans win the division, the Bills win the division. KC wins the division. Okay, so now you're looking at the teams that are going to be vying for the wild card spots.
Jets, Chargers.
Jets, Chargers, Ravens, Colts. Maybe the Browns are fighting in there as well. There's not really that many teams that we feel great about right now. At the beginning of the season, we were looking at things differently. Okay, Jacksonville's 0-3. Nobody's talking about Jacksonville climbing their way back into this. The Dolphins have decided their season is over, so they're not really someone to contend with. So people are starting to fall off here. You've got the Colts to worry about as well. So now you're looking at who you can compete with in the wild card spot to get back in it. I do think at this stretch in the season is very interesting, because the Ravens being a team that we think is better than them right now.
I do.
Yes, but it is a divisional game. So if they were to lose to the Bengals, it wouldn't be terribly surprising, because it's a divisional game. Those things get weird sometimes. The Panthers, of course, we don't know what they are. They had a nice win last week, but that can go either way. Any of these games could go either way, meaning they could go on a run here, and then you're looking at things a little bit differently. But you still have the issue of you're behind in the division, and how much wiggle room do you have throughout the season to stumble a little bit again because you put yourself in the hole.
They got to get to 500.
Yeah.
They got to get to 500 before we can even really seriously talk about. They can't afford to lose one of the next 3. They can't afford to do that.
Well, I mean, this next game is an absolute must-win. Like, they absolutely
even if they, let's say they win that game, but then they lose to the Ravens, now you're 1-4. You can't keep, because everybody ain't going to just keep losing.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
everybody ain't gonna keep losing.
They've really put themselves in a tough spot.
We gotta stop looking at them as a team that went to the Super Bowl a few years ago.
Wow,
that's out the window. That's out the window.
I got rid of that a long time ago.
Yeah, we gotta get rid of it. Think about this. Joe Burrow in his last 13 games is 5-8. It's 5-8.
If that's the math, then yes.
So like, I just don't see. I don't know what turned for the Bengals and where they go all wrong, but this team. I just don't have no.
Well, we got excited. Here's why we get excited about certain situations. You got a Heisman Trophy quarterback that missed some time his rookie year but was playing good. The next year he comes back and they go to the Super Bowl. And they're young and they got young players and they got all. So everybody started. The hype just continued to keep going. And then they beat Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
And then they beat Patrick Mahomes. And it's just like, okay, they're here to stay. Then they go to Buffalo and smack Josh Allen and go back to Cincinnati. So it became a love fest for the Cincinnati Bengals. Everybody was like in love with Joe Burrow. And we like Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
Because he dresses cool. We got the Cardis on.
I mean, he's also very good.
No, he's good.
So, and like, you still see glimpses of the type of team that they were that year and the talent that they have, even in the game the other night.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is you can't put yourself in these holes, tempt the football gods, as you said, every single year and expect that everything is just going to continue to work out. You lose key pieces, as every team does. Are you capable of replacing them?
Right.
And you're in a really tough division, so that makes things even more difficult. This is the hardest division in football, toughest division in football. So they're in a spot. But I trust Joe Burrow's talent. If they're able to put it all together, I think it will be because of him. Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.